What's up, guys? We are back with another Star Wars Black Series review, taking a look at the latest Walgreens exclusive and a figure that kind of fell through the cracks, I guess, for the longest time. We have gotten our hands on our Phase 1 Clone Trooper Lieutenant. So we finally got enough to kind of round them all out, I suppose, right? At least the regular clone variants. There's plenty of clones to do, Hasbro, plenty of clones. So we've got him here in our new style box. This is the first figure for the Attack of the Clones little line that we've got. So each line, each movie, each property, each thing has its own color scheme. So Attack of the Clones is the red one, and you've got the figure there in the window. You've got the name and the movie plate down there on the bottom, some artwork of the clone down there on the spine, and then you've got a red motif that'll connect with other figures from this movie going forward. And then the back of the box has a slightly larger shot of that image with a little bit of a write-up for clones in general. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Walgreens exclusive Phase 1 Clone Lieutenant. So this guy is, I mean, it's still just sort of an oddity that we never got him until now. I don't know if there's a real reason for it or not. It's just like he seemed to slip through the cracks, but here we are. And he is, for the most part, you know, exactly what you think he is. He is just a lot of parts reuse with a new coat of paint, really. So, you know, we've got, what, the Sergeant, the Commander, the Captain, the regular clone, and now we've got our Lieutenant. And he is basically the same figure, but in terms of paint applications, he is a little bit different this time around. But if you are familiar with any Phase 1 clones, or, well, Phase 2 as well, I suppose, you are in for, well, not a treat, but you're in for some familiar stuff. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. You are going to see just how familiar he is. So we've got a head that can only look slightly up, but he looks down really, really good. There is no tilt, but you've got full rotation on the head. The arms go out about this far. You can get them a little bit further, but you have to keep an eye on this pauldron here. I know on my original regular clone, I popped it off because I tried to move it up too far. There's kind of a bulge underneath there that this thing sits on. So if you move it too far, you're going to pry it off by mistake. It does rotate all the way around, and then you've got your bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows, but they really only go about that far. This is definitely one of the hang-ups on this old figure in general, is that you cannot get them to go much further than that because of the elbow pad there. You've got a horizontal hinge with rotation on his left wrist, your right, and then you've got a vertical on his right, your left. You've got your diaphragm cut, so he goes backwards a little bit, forwards a little bit, tilt side to side, and then full rotation. That's really it. The legs go out about that far. They kick forward all the way. They kick backwards a little bit, pretty good actually. You do have your thigh cut that's hidden underneath the armor. You've got your double jointed knees, but again, the same kind of issue that we see with the elbow is down here because he has the strap that goes across the knee. It only goes that far. And then of course there is no boot cut on this figure, but there is a rocker, and then you've got hinges down at those ankles, but he really only goes forward, not too far backward, because the plate on the armor actually dips below the ankle and hits the foot. So you've got a little bit, maybe one-ish click there, but he can go forward really, really good. So this guy is definitely, again, familiar territory, a big retread, and he is very, very antiquated when it comes to Black Series. There's nothing new here, no new territory, no new ground made. He is that same figure with a new coat of paint. Now, all that said and done, I know a lot of folks, well, at least like me, aren't necessarily buying this guy just because he can move around well, or in many cases not all that well. It's the ability to finally have this version of a clone and to get kind of the last one we need for the ranks. And it's just kind of nice to be able to get another clone again and not be one of the named clones. You know, granted, I really would like a way to get regular clones again, you know, a lot of Phase 2 and a lot of Phase 1, because if there's one thing I did not do when these guys were new, well, not this one, is I didn't buy multiples. I only have one clone, one commander, one sergeant, and one captain, and I've got 3 of this one now, just to hedge my bets on that. But I do think that he looks really good. You know, aesthetically speaking, he is very pleasing, but he does have one oddity that the others don't. His paint is all weathered, whereas the others are not. So he's not going to match the sergeant, commander, and captain. They're all very clean and crisp when it comes to their line work and their colors. He is very worn and battle, you know, hardened. I don't know if that's necessarily something that bothers me. It is something that stands out though. It might bother you, your mileage may vary on that. I do, however, really like the paint applications on this guy. It is very clean and crisp, and the blue is really, really striking. So a lot of those other clones, the colors are kind of muted. They're not really bright and saturated. This guy is very different. He's really, really deep on the blue, and it just stands out really nicely against the white. The sculpt on this figure is still pretty good. I mean, there's nothing crazy. There's certainly nothing to write home about when it comes to the overall sculpt and design on this guy, but it's classic Phase 1 clone trooper through and through, and he looks pretty good. I don't have too many criticisms about it outside of the design choices that led to, these knees and these elbows. We certainly know that Hasbro is capable of better and different at this point, but for a figure that's essentially just a repaint, I'm not too upset about it. He certainly fits in with the rest of the bunch. The helmet is still really well done. All the paint is really clean and crisp as far as the blue and then the black on there as well. So it is kind of a basic figure. I mean, there's not too much to talk about really. It is a clone, so it's a fully armored figure, and you have a pretty solid sculpt as a result of that. The only true thing that really strikes me as different or odd in some ways is that he is very worn and battle ready, battle hardened, versus some of those other clones that just sort of came off the boat from Camino basically. But he does look really good. I'm happy to finally have this guy, and again, he's going to go really, really well with the rest of the crew. Now, as far as accessories goes, this is nothing new, standard stuff when it comes to a clone trooper. You've got the heavy blaster rifle, no paint on this guy. It's just a standard black through and through. If you're like me, you have quite a few of these at this point, but it's my preferred weapon for a clone, so I'm glad he comes with it. And then you've of course got the standard issue blaster for a clone. No paint on this guy either, just black. Good sculpt on it though, no real issues. Again, just nothing to write home about, because again, this guy is very much boilerplate kind of stuff when it comes to clone troopers. He just happens to have a different lick of paint on him, but he still comes with the same accessories we've seen throughout the years. And because why not? I mean, there's really not much to compare to here. We've got our lineup with the other clones. So you've got your regular, you've got your sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and commander. And this guy lines up more, I suppose, with these two in terms of construction, because one of the noticeable differences, and you might be seeing it now, is that the two, the clone trooper and the clone sergeant, have white pins in their arms versus the black that all three of these have. But the rest of the figure, I mean, is, as far as I can tell, the same thing, which is to be expected. They just share different color schemes, and then of course the fact that none of the others are weathered outside of our new lieutenant. But it is nice to kind of complete this rainbow of clones, and they do look really cool together. So if you've got a bunch of these guys, they're definitely going to go really well in your display with hopefully what is a nice squad of clones. I just hope that at some point they offer these, in one of those cardboard box style packages that we've seen with Legends. Get me another way to get some more of these guys, because right now I'm not going to pay crazy prices on the aftermarket for clone troopers, but I'll definitely throw $15 at Hasbro for some reissues of all four of these guys. So when it's all said and done for this guy, it really just comes down to one major thing. We finally have him. I never expected to get this trooper in a new and improved articulation scheme. That would seem weird in comparison to the rest of the bunch. I am, of course, always hopeful that we're going to get more, but in this instance, it's to be expected that we're just going to get a repaint, and he is going to be the same figure. He's going to match in every facet to those other clones that we've gotten. And for the most part, I am pretty happy with that. I do find it kind of odd still that he has the battle damagey kind of paint scheme where the others don't, but his paint is really well done. It's very clean and crisp and saturated and bright and vibrant. So for me, it kind of, two sides of the same coin, really. I do like that, and I'm still kind of confused by the other part. But overall, I'm happy to finally have this guy. It's nice to be able to get a new Phase 1 clone again, and just to kind of round out this group, again, Hasbro, give me more reasons and more ways to buy those other clones, and I'm going to be there. But it's kind of cool to finally be able to get this guy, and I'm glad they were able to pump him out while the time is right, when there aren't movies looming overhead again. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Black Series Walgreens exclusive Phase 1 Clone Trooper Lieutenant. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.